Hey everyone, we're back for Unit 2, Notebook page 5, the endocrine system. And the one part of Unit 2 that I'm not recording a notebook page on is the anatomy of the brain. I gave you a reading for you to memorize and get in your notebook about that. So make sure that you do that. It's a pretty important aspect of this unit, but it is kind of straight memorization. So I didn't want to belabor it with more time in class. We may take some time to apply, especially at the end of the unit. We'll kind of go back and try to apply some of those things. I'll kind of expect you to know it. So take some time just to memorize those each day, and I'll throw some questions out maybe in class at times to see what we can do. So, when we explain behavior in terms of the biological process, the parts of the brain are important, as well as the endocrine system. We'll talk about the nervous system in the next notebook page, how all these work together. So this is a pretty short notebook page today, which is good. So we'll kind of deal with that. So if you need to write down the title card, do so now. And I'll move on to the first slide. So the endocrine system is the hormonal system of the body. These are the hormones. And unlike the neural system of the brain that's kind of sense things instantly, right? You feel pain, the brain is going to get that kind of get that trigger, send it instantly. The endocrine system sends hormones slowly through the bloodstream. So that's the difference. The brain is going to be really instant. It has that ability. The endocrine system, things are going to kind of happen slowly and over time. So, think of the neural system, the brain system as a text message, right? Boom, you get it immediately, you look at it. Think of the endocrine system as sending a letter or postcard through the mail. It's going to take some time to get there, but still could deliver the same message, just it's going to take some time. So endocrine hormones, what can they affect? They can affect your brain development. They can affect your mood. They can affect puberty, behavior, feelings. It takes a while for hormones to leave. So not only does it take a while for them to get there, but they can't just disappear at the drop of a hat. So let's use an example. You were walking home one night, late at night, and you notice that someone is following you. So adrenaline is going to kind of surge through you. There is a hormone that will surge through you. And adrenaline's one's a little bit quicker, right? But it takes a little bit of time to ramp up. And even when you start feeling it, you can feel it more later. So you run home. When you walk in the door, that adrenaline does not go away, right? Even though you're safe now, your heart's still beating. You might be sweating a little bit. You might be shaking a little bit. So that's from adrenaline. It doesn't go away immediately, even if the danger is gone. So that's an example of how it doesn't quite go away. Testosterone is another example. If someone does steroids and injects testosterone, it's going to linger around in your body. It's not going to go away immediately. You're not going to shoot yourself with steroids and immediately the testosterone hits and you feel those effects as well. But it's going to take some time. Now, testosterone can increase aggressive behavior. That's why there's kind of the colloquial roid rage of steroids, making people on steroids getting really angry, domestic yelling, domestic violence. That's the reason. This is a hormone that affects your brain and mood. And so if you have more than you should, things can get really bad. So that's the endocrine system and kind of how it works. So I'll put up the slide here. And as always, you can take some time, write it in your own words. So you can pare things down, make it shorter. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So this is just an image. Obviously, you don't have to write this down, but you can come back and reference this. This is kind of the breakdown of the different parts of the endocrine system. Unlike the parts of the brain that are all located in one spot, the endocrine system is throughout your body, and that's why things are going to take time to go through your bloodstream. If you're getting estrogen from your ovaries or testosterone from your testicles, it's going to take a long time to get throughout the whole body through that bloodstream. It's going to take some time to do that. That's kind of an issue. So, as we go, kind of note the areas and how it affects our anatomy, how it affects our thinking, how it affects our behavior, how each of these things affect that. That's going to be the key for this whole unit, is just knowing all of these, that you can recognize them in a multiple choice question, in a free response question, and how they could affect a person's behavior. All right, this is actually our last slide, is the endocrine organs. So I'll kind of go through some of the big ones with you here. So the adrenal glands are a big one, because that's adrenaline, like I just talked about. They're above the kidneys, and they kind of kick on that fight or flight mentality, the fight or flight feeling, that when there's danger, when you kind of are in an anxious situation, that this adrenaline hits, and it gives you kind of the power to run or to stay and fight. So we use the example in Unit 1 of the fear of snakes, right? You walk in, there's a big 5-foot python on the ground. So if you walk in and do that, your adrenaline might start pumping. If you're really afraid of snakes, you're really freaked out, and you might run out the door. I'm gonna guess you're not gonna try to kill the 5-foot python, but you might. If it's a small snake, perhaps, or a cockroach or something, you might try to do that, right? So that's that fight or flight mentality, and that comes from your adrenal glands. So it goes pretty quickly. It gets pretty quickly. Unlike a lot of these that take time, the adrenaline will take a little bit of time. It's not going to be snap of a finger, but it's pretty darn close. It's probably the closest in the endocrine system. The pancreas is located below the lungs, and that releases insulin. So if you've heard of diabetics and insulin and the pancreas, that's what that is. So insulin stores glucose and regulates your energy levels, regulates your blood sugar and your energy levels, making sure you don't have too much, making sure you don't have too little. Too much can affect your nerves. Too little, maybe if you've had low blood sugar before, you're getting kind of shaky, you need something to eat. So it ensures that glucose isn't overly submitted into nerves to destroy them. And diabetes can occur when the pancreas doesn't create enough insulin to regulate those glucose levels. And you can be born with that, something that can develop later, depending on your habits and your genetics and a number of other things. So that's why insulin is so important, because if you could really wreck parts of your body if you're creating too much, or if you're not creating enough, you can die. So that's an important piece to the endocrine system. The thyroid, located in the neck, controls your hormones that boost or reduce metabolism, consumption of energy. And problems with the thyroid can mess with numerous parts of your body: weight gain, weight loss, fatigue, your development, speech, a lot of different things. So thyroid problems 30, 40 years ago were a major factor that could really stunt who you are as a person, stunt your development of your brain. Today, we do have a lot of treatments for thyroid issues, and it's something that can barely be noticeable now with treatment. So science has developed through that. The other thing with the with the thyroid, actually, here in Pittsburgh, there's an increase of thyroid problems due to the air quality, and things like that can affect your thyroid. So something something to keep in mind. Something that we can be susceptible to. Something that a lot of doctors in the area will kind of go to, be a first check if you're having an issue that is a little odd or could be a thyroid issue. So it just regulates a lot of things that if it's not regulating, can kind of mess you up. Fatigue's a big one. You'll really get worn down if and if you're like, I'm tired all the time, and just you're sleeping 14, 15, 16, 17 hours a day. Thyroid can be an issue, among other things. So it's something that can be looked at. The pituitary gland is kind of the master gland, it's nicknamed, because this releases your growth hormones that impact your behavior. So if you have issues with the pituitary gland, it can be very major. It can lead to sexual maturation issues, that you don't fully go through puberty. Menstrual cycles can be really messed up not happen at strange times, happen in varying degrees. Erectile dysfunction usually comes from the pituitary gland. So extremely critical to development of kind of puberty and adulthood, and that's something can have an issue. And then the testes and the ovaries release testosterone and estrogen, which I talked about testosterone before, and estrogen before. So that's definitely something that's important, once again, in kind of your sexual health as well as your emotional and mood health, right? So that's why when women are pregnant, oftentimes there can be some changes in mood because of changes in hormones, of having a child, right? Having a being pregnant. So that's why that happens. That's the endocrine system. So let me put up this slide. I didn't put up a little bear here. The adrenaline coming through. So, great. You can write this down in your own words. Once you're done, that's the end of the endocrine system, and we'll continue through this and talking about the brain.